Jin-moo jolted upright in bed, his breath ragged and cold sweat plastering his hair to his forehead. His heart pounded as hazy flashes from the night before assaulted his mind, laughter, wine, soft voices, then, panic. He couldn't remember what he'd said. But something deep in his gut told him he'd messed up. Shit, he muttered, scrambling off the thin mattress. His robes were rumpled, his head still foggy, but he didn't waste a second. He threw the door open, barefoot, ignoring the sting of the cold morning tiles beneath his feet. In the courtyard, Madame Butterfly was arranging silk cushions and chatting with a few noblemen who hadn't yet sobered up. He glanced up the moment Jin-moo burst out, his gaze sharp despite his painted smile. His eyes followed him like a hawk, and though he said nothing, his silence felt accusatory. Jin-moo didn't stop. He sprinted past, avoiding eye contact, heart hammering louder with each step as he stormed out into the street. The morning buzz had already begun. Vendors shouted, carts rolled, and old women gossiped at the side of the road. Jin-moo would have ignored them, he usually did, but he caught wind of something that made his stomach turn cold. They say the king himself found the den. Hidden underground, can you imagine? Dozens of poor souls, all locked in cages, like animals. And Jin-sook. Arrested in the dead of night. Dragged out like a dog in front of his own guards. Serves him right, that snake. They say even his family will face punishment. Treason, they're calling it. Jin-moo's breath caught in his throat. No. No, no, no. His legs moved on instinct, bolting down the alleyways toward home. His mind reeled. It was me. I said something. Damn it, I let something slip. He shoved his door open, heart racing. The house was eerily quiet. No servants. No family. Just stillness. Hello? He called out, desperate. Nothing. He rushed to his quarters and threw open a wooden chest, frantically grabbing bags of silver, a pouch of gold rings, whatever he could carry. His hands were shaking so badly he dropped a goblet, the clatter echoing through the room like a warning bell. He had to leave, he had to get away. There was no way he was going to stay and be punished alongside this psychotic family. He slung a satchel over his shoulder and turned toward the door, but... Where do you think you're going? The voice stopped him dead. Mrs. Jean stood at the doorway, her usually calm expression twisted into something he didn't recognize. Her hair was messy, her eyes wide and unblinking. There was a tremble in her voice, but it wasn't fear. It was rage. I asked you a question, Jin-moo. Her voice was lower now. Where are you going? Jin-moo tried to compose himself, forcing a weak smile. I was just going to handle some affairs. Just a short trip, that's all. With a bag full of gold and no goodbye, she interrupted, stepping forward. Jin-moo stood frozen for a moment, caught between fight and flight, his chest heaving. He glared at Mrs. Jean, her face flushed with rage, heartbreak, and betrayal, all twisted into one. I should have known, she seethed, voice trembling, you're the one who ruined everything, aren't you? What are you talking about? Jin-moo scoffed, eyes shifting. I don't even know what. Don't lie to me, she screamed, stepping closer. You, who can't resist a pretty face, you must have told someone at that filthy courtesan house. My brother's whole world is crumbling and somehow, you're just, packing. Like you didn't see this coming. He growled, the tension snapping like a twig. So what if I did? Mrs. Jean blinked. What? I said, so what if I did? Jin-moo spat. I'm tired of living like a damn shadow under your family's boot. You think I wanted to marry into this twisted house? Huh? You and your arrogant, psychotic brother. I was never free. Finally, now I will be. You ungrateful bastard, she whispered, as if the wind had been knocked out of her. Ungrateful? He barked out a cold laugh. You mean trapped? Chained. Do you have any idea how miserable I've been pretending to love you? You disgust me. Everything about you. I used to look at you and think maybe I could make it work, maybe I could stomach it. But now. His voice turned to venom. I'd rather rot than spend one more day pretending. Mrs. Jin's hands were shaking. I gave you everything, Moo. I found you in the gutter, remember? You were a starving rat, people threw scraps at you like you were nothing. I made you something. He took a step forward, jaw clenched. I'm a rat. And did you forget your precious brother used to shine shoes just to buy you stale rice? Don't you dare act like I owe you. Jin Moo turned, shoving the last of the silver into his travel bag. I'm leaving, and there's nothing you can do about it. No one leaves me, Mrs. Jin hissed. Not after all I've done. She grabbed a knife from a nearby table and pointed it at him, but Jin Moo didn't care. He barely turned his head. Watch me. The next moment blurred. A sharp gasp split the room as the blade sliced into his back. Jin Moo's eyes widened in shock. His body jerked once, twice, then crumpled to the floor, the bag of silver slipping from his hand and spilling across the wood like spilled teeth. Mrs. Jin stood over him, knife trembling in her hand, lips quivering as reality crashed in. What did I just do? She whispered, taking a shaky step back. The front door slammed open. Move, a guard barked. Min Suk stormed in with a small unit of soldiers, weapons drawn, eyes scanning the room, until they landed on the bloody scene. By the gods, one soldier murmured. Min Suk's eyes narrowed coldly as they fell on Mrs. Jin, frozen in place, still holding the bloodied knife. His gaze slid to Jin Moo's lifeless body, the pool of red slowly spreading. Mrs. Jin, he said, voice steely, you are under arrest for treason, and now, murder. No, she whispered, tears sliding silently down her face. No, no, no. I can explain, the bastard wanted to leave me. Take her, Min Suk commanded. Two guards grabbed her arms as she dropped the knife. She didn't struggle. Her eyes never left Jin Moo's body. As they dragged her out of the house, the blood on her hands drying into rust, she whispered to herself, over and over, like a broken record. No one leaves me, no one leaves me. The orphanage courtyard buzzed with life as tearful reunions unfolded before Ji-Yun and Kyung-Hoon's eyes. A mother sobbed uncontrollably as she cradled a thin little boy to her chest, and a teenage girl clung to her younger sister like she would never let go again. But in one quiet corner, a few children sat alone, eyes hopeful, then slowly falling as each new reunion wasn't theirs. Ji-Yun's heart twisted. He looked over at Kyung-Hoon. What about the ones still waiting? He asked, voice low. The ones who haven't found anyone. Kyung-Hoon sighed, rubbing the back of his neck, gaze heavy with guilt. Some of them might never reunite with anyone, he admitted. We found records suggesting some were sent across the border, into the Yin Empire. Others, he paused. We don't even know if they're still alive. A heavy silence settled between them. Ji-Yun's fists clenched by his sides. We should do something for them, Ji-Yun said, jaw tightening. Maybe, set up a permanent home for them. Not just an orphanage, something better. Kyung-Hoon nodded. We will. They deserve that much. After a moment, Ji-Yun shifted, his voice dropping. And, what about Min Seo? Kyung-Hoon glanced at him, expression unreadable. She's Jin Suk's daughter, Ji-Yun continued carefully. Everyone knows she was aware of what he was doing. By tradition, she's meant to be punished with the rest of her family. I know, Kyung-Hoon said, his voice quiet but firm. Ji-Yun studied his face. But you're not going to, are you? Kyung-Hoon sighed, his gaze falling to the ground. No. I'm not. Why? Kyung-Hoon hesitated, then said, because of Tae-Jin. Ji-Yun blinked. Your brother. Kyung-hoon nodded slowly. He loves her. I don't know why. She's manipulative, cold, and stubborn. But he's always seen something in her that no one else did. When I asked him to stay in the palace and help me take Jin-suk down, he didn't even hesitate. He stayed back, knowing the cost, just to help me achieve this. Ji-yun looked away, thoughtful. Kyung-hoon continued, now that it's done, Jin-suk exposed, arrested, and the children freed, there's nothing holding Tae-jin back anymore. He wants to leave with her. And maybe he deserves that chance, even if I don't agree with it. Ji-yun gave a small nod. So you're letting them go? Kyung-hoon looked him square in the eye. Yes. I won't arrest Min-seo. As far as I'm concerned, her punishment is living with the shame of her family's crimes. Ji-yun nodded again, slower this time. It's a dangerous gamble. But I guess some endings don't have to be bloody. Kyung-hoon exhaled, eyes scanning the orphanage courtyard again. Yes. They don't. Meanwhile, in the dim silence of the underground prison, Min-seo stood in front of her father's cell, her arms folded tightly as if bracing herself against the chill, and against him. Jin-suk looked up from where he sat on the wooden bench, his face bruised, eyes bloodshot but burning with the same fire as always. Why are you just standing there? He barked. Get me out of here. Min-seo didn't move. I'm not doing that, she said flatly. He stood, pacing to the edge of the cell. Don't be ridiculous. You're my daughter. You know what's at stake. Get me out. She flinched at his voice but held her ground. I came here to tell you something, not to be ordered around. But Jin-suk wasn't listening. He leaned forward, eyes gleaming with cruel excitement. Fine. I'll be out by myself. The Een Empire will come. They will crush Kyung-hoon and that his woman-boy Ji-yun like insects. When they do, you will pass your child off as Kyung-hoon's heir. The empire will support him as king and you, he gave a dark chuckle, you'll be queen mother. Min-seo stared at him, revolted. You're still plotting? Even in chains? He scoffed. This isn't the end. It's only a pause. Just then, the cell door creaked open and Lady Han stepped inside, her face cold but collected. Min-seo, she said firmly, let's go. Min-seo turned to her, then back to Jin-suk, and said, with quiet finality, yes, mother. Jin-suk's head snapped up. What did you say? She looked him dead in the eye. I know. I know she's my real mother. I overheard everything. The words hit him like a slap. Min-seo's voice shook slightly. You knew all this time, and you said nothing. You lied to me. So what? You think she's better than me? He spat. She's just as rotten. You think you're safe with her? Think again. Lady Han stepped forward. Enough. At least for once, don't drag your daughter into your mess. But Jin-suk grinned. Oh really? Do you know that by now, they've raided my estate? You think I didn't prepare for this? My records, food shipments, coded letters, names, locations, all of it. Some, connected to her. She's finished. Lady Han's jaw clenched. You're bluffing. We'll see, he said darkly. Lady Han pulled Min-seo by the arm and turned to leave, but as they reached the corridor, Kyung-hoon and Ji-yun were already standing there, waiting. Ji-yun stepped forward, eyes narrowed. You are going to be arrested, Lady Han. We have evidence of all your crimes. Everything. You were helping Jin-suk, planting spies, poisoning nobles, silencing anyone who got too close. We know what you are. Kyung-hoon's voice was colder. And we also know who you are to Min-seo. Min-seo quickly stepped between them, her eyes pleading. Please, don't hurt her. Lady Han looked at her, lips trembling slightly, for once, unable to speak. Two guards came forward and grabbed Lady Han by the arms. As they dragged her away, Min Seo cried out, "So what? Are you going to persecute me? Because of my family?" But as Ji Yun turned to reassure her, his expression shifted. "Min Seo, your legs." Blood was running down Min Seo's dress. Kyung Hoon's face paled. "Min Seo." Min Seo looked down, dazed. Her lips parted, but no words came. Her knees gave out beneath her, and she collapsed. "Min Seo!" Ji Yun shouted, reaching forward just as she hit the floor. "Get the royal physician." Kyung Hoon barked, eyes wide with panic. And then, a loud trumpet blared in the distance. Everyone froze. Kyung Hoon turned slowly and ran to the nearest window. His breath caught. Outside the palace walls, rows upon rows of glinting armor and banners bearing the symbol of the Yin Empire filled the horizon. Horses neighed, swords gleamed, and smoke rose from distant fires. Just then, Min Suk burst into the hall, out of breath and terrified. "Your Highness." Ji Yun looked up from Min Seo's unconscious form. Min Suk's voice cracked, "The Yin Empire is at our gates, and they're ready for war." Thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe to the channel for more episodes. We are almost there.